There's a lot of student clubs at UB, and there's a lot of things that you can do with your time at UB. And UB is a place where a lot of people don't have a lot of time because we're working, we're doing other things, we're taking classes, we're trying to get out. And don't forget, graduation is important. Getting out is important. But the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization has a little bit different flavor to it because it's one of the few student clubs that can actually present you with an opportunity that you can't get in any of the other clubs. We define an entrepreneur as someone who is able to recognize an opportunity and develop the courage to take action to make that opportunity real. And by coming and being involved in the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, you take the first step, which is recognizing the opportunity. The next step after that is coming into the Entrepreneur Opportunity Center and working on your business and developing your program with the ultimate goal that you graduate not just with a degree, but with a business. And we have folks that are running companies, making money, paying mortgages out of offices that we provide in the business school. So this is real stuff. We're not messing around here. We're very, very serious about this, and it's a very real opportunity. You've taken the first step towards that by getting involved in the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization. The reason for the flyers that Chris mentioned is so that you're aware of what the second step and the third step and the fourth step might be. And if you're thinking, oh, that's nice, but it's just another UB story, then you don't know my story, which is the fact that I came to UB in the 90s and launched and grew a company and got 9 credits of my MBA for working to build that company. So it's real, and it's real stuff, and your being here tonight is a great step towards that. So congratulations on coming out. Thank you for coming out. The other thing I want to tell you is you've got an incredible opportunity to learn from an amazing real-life example tonight. The guy that's going to talk to you is a man named Eddie Dobkin. He owns this business. He owns the restaurant next door. He owns the restaurant across the street. He owns the restaurant across the street the other way, and he owns the restaurant across the street the other way. Anybody count how many is that? That's 5. In addition to that, he's a senior partner in a company called Classic Catering, which is the 4th largest, 5th, 2nd largest. Where are you?
First off-premise.
Largest off-premise caterer in Baltimore. Now see, that's an entrepreneur because he knows exactly where he stands with the competition. Largest off-premise caterer in Baltimore. A few small contracts. Ravens training camp. Anybody seen an NFL player? They don't eat like salads, okay? Well, there's training camp is not just the starting team, which is what, 60 players? Something like that, right? Something like that? Well, training camp you have more than 60 because you get cut down. So what's the head count at training camp? Do you know?
275.
275 really big men that he feeds 3 meals a day for 6 weeks?
4.5.
4.5.
4 meals.
That's just one of the businesses. So one of the things about entrepreneurship is juggling a lot of hats. I've gotten to know Eddie as a good friend for about 11 years now. He's a phenomenal individual. He's a supporter of the community. He's a great businessman. You're in for a treat. My friend, Eddie Dodd.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to me tonight. It's I could go on for probably about 25 or 30 hours, and I'm going to try to do this in 15 minutes. So it really will be a little bit of here, a little bit of there. But I can tell you that when I went to high school, which was Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, and it used to be on North Avenue. How many of you are from Baltimore? Used to be on North Avenue where the school headquarters is now. So I started on North Avenue, and then when the building that's on Falls Road opened up, I was the first class to go to that building. So I've been around for a little while. When I went to Poly, I lived in the county, and we paid to go to city school because I thought I was going to be an engineer or an architect. And I fell madly in love and was accepted at Northwestern University to go be this architect, and I decided that I could not leave the love of my life, and I stayed here. But I sort of grew up in the restaurant business, found myself working in it by default when my dad got sick, and have been in all kinds of food businesses. That's really all I know. I had a chain of bagel stores way before this Roland Park Bagel Company. They were in Baltimore, Washington, Annapolis, and in Staten Island, New York, and one in College Park. The one in College Park is still there, but I don't own it anymore. But I'll talk about Cold Spring Lane because that I probably can try to do in 15 minutes. I used to live in a townhouse right behind the Evergreen, which is next door, and I lived there for 18 years before I moved, which was a few years ago. And when I moved into the townhouse, there were no restaurants on Cold Spring Lane except for a little place called Roland Park Cafe, which was in where Loco Hombre was. And where Pete Louis is, used to be a place called Morgan and Millard. And I'm a very plain and simple eater. I don't want to get dressed up to go out to eat. I like casual food, even eat fast food every once in a while. And every time I would go out, you'd have to go downtown or to Towson. And Mexican food was my favorite food. And there were maybe 2 Mexican restaurants in Baltimore, and I said, well, you know what? I knew about the food business because of my parents' business. I knew about catering because I was in catering, but there was nowhere to eat on Cold Spring that was, at Roland Park Cafe, if they had 35 customers a week, that would have been a lot. So a cousin of mine happened to become the business broker for the Roland Park Cafe. He said, Eddie, you get this really good deal. You want to go in the restaurant business? And I told my parents, because I was working for them in the catering business, I said, you've got to be out of your mind. I said, well, there's no place to eat. I want a Mexican restaurant. So we bought the Roland Park Cafe for very, very, very little money because it didn't do any business. It was in terrible shape. We bought it and we opened Loco Hombre, and that was about 17 years ago. I had friends and neighbors. We came in and we painted the place, and we cleaned the place, and we bought used equipment, and I went down to the School for the Arts, and I got the kids to make graphics that were put on the wall, and we opened the restaurant, and we probably spent, I don't know, $25,000 if we spent that. And it became an overnight success. It was a very, very, very busy restaurant for many, many, many years. And I tell people that the restaurant business is a hobby of mine, and they sort of laugh because it's become a pretty big hobby. But I really work 55 or 60 hours a week in the catering business. And I've always had good people to help operate these restaurants on Cold Spring. So I think that I've had a lot of the vision, and I've been able to, generate or get the capital to open them. But really, it was little by little. So it really started on a shoestring at Loco Hombre. We didn't have any place for breakfast, so we decided to open a breakfast lunch restaurant, which is called Miss Shirley's. And Miss Shirley's opened about 5 years ago in where Sketty Eddie's is now. It had 55 seats, and in about 6 months, it was obvious that 55 seats wouldn't take care of Miss Shirley's. People waited outside for 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday or Sunday to get into this place.